Far from showing any sign of decline, that was the very first thought that struck me the moment I watched Naoya Inoue glide across the ring. I have spent years inside boxing gyms, decades observing champions rise and then inevitably lose a step. Most fighters, when they reach the pinnacle, begin to slip. They become comfortable, satisfied, maybe even careless. But with Inoue, I sensed something entirely different. Every movement carried intent. Every breath was deliberate. His eyes, sharp and unyielding, followed every detail in the gym. The sound of his footwork echoed like a steady drumbeat of preparation. It was as if the ring itself belonged to him long before the first bell. I was there during those final sparring sessions. I felt the snap of his jab, the sudden sting of a counter I never saw coming. He was precise, surgical in the way he placed every punch. It wasn't brute force, it was art. Tapales had warned me before I stepped in. He's not just training, he said. He's refining perfection. At first, I thought it was just a figure of speech. Then I faced him, and I understood. His timing was beyond anything I had experienced. You think you can predict him, but he's already one step ahead. Even his feints carry weight, a whisper of power that keeps you guessing. During a break, I looked across the ring and saw no fatigue in him. Sweat dripped, yes, but his breathing was calm, measured, almost serene. He was preparing for more than a fight, he was preparing for inevitability. Tapales watched closely from the corner, arms folded, a quiet smile playing at the edges of his mouth. Later, Tapales confided something that stayed with me. It won't be a knockout, he said quietly. Decision win, 12th round. That's how he'll do it. The certainty in his voice was striking. Not a guess, a prophecy. He had sparred with Inoue enough to know the rhythm, to feel the mastery. This wasn't reckless aggression, it was a calculated storm. Each day of camp reinforced the same impression. Morning runs where his stride never faltered. Pad work that looked like a dance, a symphony of speed and balance. Even the way he rapped his hands carried a ritualistic focus. The younger fighters in the gym watched in quiet awe. They whispered among themselves, calling him, the monster, not just for his power but for his relentless discipline. And yet, there was no arrogance in him. When he spoke, it was soft, thoughtful, almost humble. He thanked his trainers, his sparring partners, even the staff sweeping the gym floor. But once the bell rang, humility transformed into something else. An iron will, a predator's instinct. I asked one of his coaches how long they had been preparing for this bout. He smiled and said, "We've been preparing since the last fight ended." That's how he works. It showed in everything. The precision of his combinations. The fluid way he shifted from offense to defense. Even the quiet moments between rounds felt like part of a larger plan. Tapales later explained why he believed the fight would go the distance. Inoue knows when to finish, he said. But this time, he'll showcase control, not just power. I thought about that long after leaving the gym. The idea of a fighter choosing patience over spectacle. Choosing mastery over a highlight reel. That is a different kind of greatness. One that doesn't need a knockout to make a statement. When the fight night finally comes, the crowd will roar for an early finish. But those who watched him prepare will know better. We will watch for the quiet dominance. The way he will dismantle his opponent round by round. Not a storm, but a tide. Unstoppable, unrelenting. That is the essence of Naoya Inoue.